Hi, my name is Reginald G. Kinnaman, and I would like to talk about my family's history, Kinnaman family legacy. The Kinnamans, according to research on Ancestry.com and other sources that I found, and other family members that have given me information, our family history in America goes back at least 300 years. The most that I had gone back before my cousin went back farther was a little over 100 years, and it's a little over 100 years now, 150 years. But our family had traveled across America during the formative years of the states. So as states were added to the country, they had moved westward from Virginia to Illinois, Indiana, eventually ending up in Kentucky, or Kansas, where Josiah Kinnaman had helped build the town of Eureka, including churches and so on. So I guess they were the founding fathers of that town. Up till, I think it was in the 70s, his original cabin still existed there. I never got to see it, but it would have been a nice addition to the family history. In the very late 1800s, after the country had expanded all the way west, some of the family, some of Josiah's kids had taken a train across the country, and this was just after the Golden Spike had been driven and tracks were laid to California, and from California up through Medford, Ashland, Salem, Portland, riding all the way up to Centralia, and then from there they were on wagon heading toward Elma, Washington. And during that part of the trip, they were helped by Indians with canoes to ford the rivers. The interesting things that I had elaborated on this journey was I did a lot of research on railroads, because I know there's a track now that runs down the Columbia River Gorge, a lot of which did not exist during the time that they had come west. So if they would have come 10 years later, I think it was 10 years later, they could have come down the gorge, and that trip would have been a lot shorter. So another fact that I found was at the time that they came out, there was only one bridge over the Columbia River, and it was up the Columbia Gorge, and it went across and up to Spokane, Washington. So they did not take that route. So what happened, according to various history resources that I've looked at, is there was from Kalama, Washington, across to, I believe it's St. Helens, there was a train ferry that they could put a few train cars on and float them across the river. So it's pretty much a barge that they put train cars on it. This would have been amazing to see. I could just imagine, you know, them going down from Portland out to Kalama, or out to St. Helens, and then over to Kalama, and then from there the tracks went up to Centralia, Chehalis area, and a little farther north, eventually ending up in Seattle. A lot of this track was fairly new at the time too. Once the family arrived in Washington, they had homesteaded on a piece of land that was near or was below the hillside where south of where the Satsup nuclear plant was being built. And I've researched and found out which tax lots today they would have been by looking at the old Metzger maps and tax maps and other receipts for the property and stuff. And there's other interesting facts about the family.
Oh, I want the Lord to protect my soul, lead me on to heaven's shore. My life down here will soon be over. Oh, I want the Lord to protect my soul. Down my highway, along I've trod, I've always put my trust in God, but you'll find out that your silver and your gold won't pay the price to protect your soul. Oh, I want the Lord to protect my soul, lead me on to heaven's shore. My life down here will soon be over. Oh, I want the Lord to protect my soul. Church down my highway where people sing, rejoice and pray. So won't you stop and try and join the fold and ask the Lord to protect your soul. Oh, I want the Lord to protect my soul, lead me on to heaven's shore. My life down here will soon be over. Oh, I want the Lord to protect my soul.
Once in Washington, down the line to my grandfather, Reginald G. Kinnaman, him and my grandmother, Evelyn Forbes, they built churches, and from what I could tell, so far they're all Assembly of God churches, so I don't know if they had a direct affiliation with the Assembly of God, but I heard that she was a minister, my grandmother. Both of these died, you know, while I was fairly young. My grandfather died in 1970, and my grandmother in 76, soon after my brother Brian was born. So one of the churches they had built was in Palos Crossing, Washington, which I don't know, I think the name now is Praise Alive or Faith Alive or something like that. But that church's sanctuary was added later, my father, Stanley Kinnaman, helped with that addition also. My grandparents, during a few years after the Depression, helped to dismantle buildings at Camp White in White City, Washington, and hauled that lumber up on the old highways, because I-5 did not exist at this time, ending up in Glendale, Washington, where they built another church. The interesting facts in Glendale, Washington is this is a place where my Uncle Russ met his wife, Ida, and her family, some of her family still lives there. And there was another church they built that my aunt said was Lakeview, California, which I thought was kind of odd because I know there's a Lakeview, Oregon that's near California. So unless the borders have changed over the years, I hadn't researched that one much. But there is a Lakeview, California, but it's way down south. I just couldn't imagine back then them going all that way. With they had 7 children at one point, and a 1939 Ford Panel, plus hauling lumber and stuff. That would have been a very difficult trip back then.